Lila, where I make videos about plants and magic and I share recipes. And today we're going to talk about how to make magical oils. So magical oils are really easy to make. You can add a variety of different things in them, and they're a wonderful way to add an extra layer of magic and intention into your rituals. But before we get into it, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe because it really helps me out, and there are more videos where this came from. And if you'd like to support me in other ways, I have my TikTok, my Instagram, and my Apothecary down below. So now let's get into magical oils and what they are. So magical oils can also be called intention oils or ritual oils, and they're often the means by which we extract energetic essence from usually a plant or a specific ingredient and infuse it into fat, meaning some kind of oil, which could be avocado oil, coconut oil, castor oil, jojoba oil, any kind of oil really. We use magical oils as an added layer of magic that we already have our intention in, and we already have the essence of the plant or whatever ingredient we're putting in the oil ready to go. So let's say we were doing candle magic and we wanted to dress a candle. If we didn't have the oil, we would just be using plain olive oil, which is totally valid, but we can add the magical oils to dress the candle, and it adds another layer of intention and magic that we put into the oil prior. We can use these oils to anoint ourselves, to anoint doors, to draw sigils on sacred places or sacred items to be enchanted, and there's so many different uses for oils. I make some with jojoba oil to rub on my body as a body oil. Like, let's say you wanted a self-love oil or a love and attraction oil, then you could put that on yourself. Or a protection oil you could also anoint yourself with, or anoint other people with, or jewelry, that's also a really great option. So what can you put in intention oils? What do you usually put in intention oils? We usually put dried herbs in the oils and infuse them for however long we feel is the most magical. But you can add so many different things. I've seen people add graveyard dirt or dirt from a sacred place. I've seen people add mica powder to make it sparkly, or gold leaf to add to magical money oils. I've also seen people use animal bones and snake skin and rusty nails, and also baneful plants that we wouldn't otherwise want to put in our skin. So there's so many different options. I just ask that you please do research to make sure that whatever you're using is skin safe, and if it isn't, you're not planning on or anticipating accidental exposure to your skin. That's very, very important. Another thing that you can add to oils is essential oil. I will say that it is important to not use an excess amount of essential oils because essential oils can be very irritating, but our power of smell is really magical. And so if we make a ritual oil, for example, and we have certain essential oils that feel magical to us and get us in a meditative headspace, every time we put that oil on and we smell the essential oil, we're going to get into that headspace 10 times easier because our nose has that association. Our memory is connected to our sense of smell. So making infused oils is actually really, really easy and pretty inexpensive, but there are some safety issues to take into account. Obviously, as I said before, don't use herbs that could be toxic, and if you are, which I don't recommend, but if you are, make sure that you're wearing gloves and it's not going to come in contact with your skin, anybody else's skin, or animals, anything like that. Same with items that you wouldn't want to ingest, like rusty nails, for example. Another thing that I see very beginner witches make is they think, I'm going to use the freshest plant possible. I'm going to harvest it from my garden and use it fresh in an oil because it has the most magical essence when it's fresh and alive. And I understand that concept, and I love that concept, and I totally get why you would want to do that. But Oil and water is a perfect breeding ground for bacteria. When you use fresh plant, there's water content in the plant, and you introduce that into an oil and it's going to grow bacteria. The plant is going to mold, it's going to degrade. There are very, very few instances where you can get away with it, and even if you do get away with putting fresh plants in oil, the shelf life of your oil is not going to last as long. I suppose if you wanted to do a spell for something to decompose, like to banish something, you could use a moldy intention oil, but it probably won't be very pleasant. So it's just not a good thing you want to introduce into your altar or things that are important to you that you're anointing in your skin. So dried plants. Alright, so how do we actually make magical oils? How do we make intention oils or ritual oils or whatever you want to call them? There are a few different ways, but the easiest way is to enchant your herbs and cleanse your materials and put the herbs into the bottle itself that you're using, and then after you've put your intention into it, it's ready to use as soon as it's made. I do that a lot with my own personal oils, unless there's like a really, really important intention that I find really dire and I want to add an extra oomph to the magic. But usually I just use it as soon as it's made and I don't let it sit for any amount of time. That being said, you may find it more magical to let it sit for a longer period of time. You may find that time makes the plants degrade and extracts the essence more, and the more time that you sit with your oil and meditate with it and put your intention into it, by theory, the more magic is going to be into the oil. So you might feel called to let it sit for 3 days. You might feel called to let it sit for a week. You might be called to let it sit for 3 moon cycles. It all really just depends on your preference and what feels most powerful to you. Now, if you believe that extracting the medicinal properties of the plant into the oil adds to the magical essence of the oil and what you're using it for, then you can let the oil sit for 6 to 8 weeks. That is usually the amount of time that medicinal oils are allowed to sit for, and then they're eventually strained off. Some people choose to subject them to really low heat for a long period of time, like putting the jar of oil on a seed heating mat in a dark place to let that really, really, really low amount of heat cause the plants to degrade into the oil a little bit faster. And by degrade, I don't mean mold or decompose, I mean that the plants are kind of disintegrating and their magical properties are going to be dissolving into the oil. If you don't want to wait the 6 to 8 weeks, there's also a simpler method, but you have to be more careful with it. There is something called a stovetop method, and basically you use a double boiler method and you use the boiling water to slowly and gently, very important, slowly and gently heat up the oil and the herbs to extract the medicinal properties quicker. And you can let that heat up for, depends on the person, for a few hours, for 24 hours. Some people do 3 days nonstop, but I don't really feel comfortable leaving my stove unattended for that amount of time. So that's an easier way if you want to go the medicinal route, which I might make another video about medicinal oils, period, at another time. Please let me know if you guys would actually want me to make a video on medicinal oils in the future, because I could totally do that, which is a lot different from magical oils. But do keep in mind that the more heat that you subject the oil to, the shorter the shelf life is going to be. It's not going to last as long. It's going to go rancid quicker. And that brings me into my next topic, which is how do you store these oils? So you can totally have your oils charged in the sunlight for a certain amount of time, but the longer you keep it in the sunlight, the more it's going to bleach the oil and the more it's going to degrade the oil, and so it's going to go rancid a lot quicker. That being said, all oils have a shelf life. Depending on the kind of oil you use, it can be longer, it can be shorter, but most of the time it's between a year to 2 years. Rancidity does not mean that it's moldy by any means. Rancidity means that it's expired. And it goes a little sour, I guess, kind of like milk. It's not bad, but it has a weird smell and the consistency is a little bit thicker and it might be sticky. And like I said before, a way to extend the shelf life is to not put it on heat for a long amount of time, not expose it to heat and not expose it to sunlight. Keep it in a cool, dry, and dark place. And if you don't want to make your own oil, or you just want to support a witchy girl who does, I do make ritual and medicinal oils on my shop, in my apothecary, which it will be linked down below. Also, I will be making ritual oil recipes here on YouTube as well, so stay tuned for that. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. I hope it was relatively quick and I hope that you enjoyed it a lot. I love magical oils. They remind me of potions. We call potions a lot of different things. Potions can be teas, but I love calling oils potions. It makes it seem so much more magical, but you can call them whatever you like. Ritual oils, intention oils, magic oils, herbal oils, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I hope that you like this video, and if you do, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps me out and my channel out, and I will be making more videos in the future, like I said earlier. And comment down below anything that you feel like commenting, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.